Hi, everybody. My name is Pat Nemia, and I am with the Federation for Children Special Needs. I am the project director for Mass Family Voices and the Family to Family Health Information Center. Thank you for joining us here today uh, for our Facebook Live. I am going to be talking today with you about telehealth. So before I do that, I just want everybody to know that uh, the Federation is open. We are available to you. If you have questions or you need help with anything, please go to our website. You can find our phone numbers there. You can fill out, we have an intake form right there on the front of the website. You can fill that out, put your questions in, and someone will get back to you as soon as possible. We're answering those phone calls and those requests very quickly. So please reach out to us if you need help. We are here to help you. And so today I'm going to talk a little bit about telehealth, what it is, how to use it, and some of the struggles that people are having. So, healthcare here in Massachusetts, in particular, has been provided in a face-to-face situation. Most of our healthcare, most of the therapy, speech, OT have always been in a face-to-face situation, and we haven't had as much telehealth in the state of Massachusetts. And with the COVID-19 situation, that has all changed, and everything has become, or the majority of things that are happening that are not related to COVID-19 are happening through telehealth. And so telehealth is just the provision of healthcare through technology. It can be done over a phone. It can be done with some kind of video platforms that is done using a computer or a tablet or a phone if you have the video component on your phone. And it just depends on the provider that you're working with, what platforms they have, and what you can utilize. And so people say, this is such a brand new thing. And as I said a minute ago, telehealth has existed in different parts of the country and in some places in Massachusetts for certain reasons. But the way it has existed in the past for a lot of us is, for example, somebody maybe has to report data into a doctor on a regular basis. So an individual maybe has a pacemaker, and on a weekly basis, they have a hookup and they send the data to the doctor's office, and the doctor can get in touch with them. Um, and help them adjust meds or whatever. Or another way that we frequently use it is in more rural areas where potentially, you go to your pediatrician's office and they want to consult with a specialist. There are no specialists around. And so they use telehealth to bring a specialist into the visit at the pediatrician's office. And that's the way a lot of us have seen it used. But now it's being used for most, if not all of our visits, as I said, outside of the COVID-19. And so that's interesting because it presents a challenge not only to parents and children and their children that they need to be seen, but also to providers, because many of these providers, physicians, physical therapists, occupational therapists, ABA specialists, ABA therapists have not done this before. And so they have to figure out how to change their way of interacting and how to develop effective interactions with their clients to meet the goals that they have set. And it's a challenge, for parents with children who don't really understand what's happening. They're very used to working with somebody, having it be hands-on, and now to have it be a situation where someone's just talking to them about it. So it becomes a struggle to engage children sometimes in this form of health provision. So it's very new to everyone, and we're I think a lot of providers and families are working their way through this as we've just kind of all been thrust into it. So what are some of the things that could be obstacles for families? And one of them is that you have to have the technology, the format. You have to have at least a phone, and that doesn't work as well in some situations, and so you would need an internet connection. If you're using a phone, you need a contract with a phone company, Verizon or Comcast or something, to provide you with service. And so I put in the links, in the comments, a couple of links for you that talk about services that are available to families who may not be able to get those services independently right now. So Mass Health has programs for their Mass Health members, and there's a link to that in the comments for programs that are available. And I also cited an article in the comments that talks about the different programs available from different internet providers, as I said, like Verizon, Comcast, and all those other ones. I forget the names right now. So that's there are things out there to help people um, break through that barrier. Um, you know, things that families have to be aware of when they're working with this too is that many times, and this is kind of a simple thing, but many times when providers are going to be calling, they're going to be calling from a number that's blocked or potentially a number that you don't recognize because some people who are now working remotely have a phone with a number and it doesn't come up with their organization. And so, that's something that sometimes people won't answer the phone. They're not sure who it is. So it's something to think about and make sure you know before the person is calling you, how they're going to be contacting you. Um, so what can we do as parents in thinking about our children receiving healthcare this way? And I think, when you think about going to a physician's office or having a telehealth um, visit with a physician, it probably focuses around an event or an evaluation, and so you pretty much know what you're going into that visit for. Um, but you have to think of you do have to think about certain things like the environment. But I think it becomes very interesting when we're thinking about visits that are therapeutic, so OT, PT, speech, ABA. Um, you know, um, Visits with your therapist that become a longer time frame that you have to spend interacting. And what do we need to do to make them the most productive? And I think the biggest thing that I can say about this is communicate um, and have some patience. As I said before, it's so hard for all of us because this is brand new for everybody. It's brand new for the providers, brand new for the parents. And I think, recognize that maybe with your speech language pathologist that your child may need to work with 3 times a week all of a sudden, and understand that they're struggling and trying to figure out how to engage with your child also, and be open about your struggles with it, your child's struggles with it, so that you can collectively think outside of the box to get the most out of those visits. And I think one of the most important things you need to talk about is what is the best time to be doing this? Because in most situations, you're probably going to need to be present. If your child's younger, you're going to need to be present with your child. And so, what time does that work for you and this child and the remainder of your family? And how long are you going to need um, to be on this telehealth visit? So think about those things and try and pick the best time that you can. Um, Talk to whoever the health provider is about what is the goal. What are you trying to do with my child? With occupational therapy, is it independence in some ADL that we're trying to achieve? So what is the overall goal? And then talk about how are the things that you're doing helping that, so that you can better understand. Because now you're kind of the therapeutic environment, you're the school environment, you're the work environment. If you're working from home, you're all these different things. So it's hard to sometimes understand what um, what that carryover might be, and a little bit more of it rests in your lap right now. So understand why are you doing these certain activities? And if you could understand that, you might even be able to say to a therapist, well, you know what my child loves to do? Is this kind of similar to what you're doing? Because I bet you'd get more out of it if we did something like this. So again, the real importance of communication and understanding and in planning. And knowing a little bit ahead of time, what is this visit going to look like? Do we need a table with some space? Um, is it physical therapy? Do you need us to kind of set the computer up on the floor so that we're ready to work and to do some things? Or, if you're speaking to your physician, what records do you want me to have? Do I need to have some information with me? Did I take a journal of things that I want to relay to you what's going on? So what does the visit going to look like? What am I going to need to develop my area like? Um, if you can find out, before each session, what is it that you want us to use in this session? Are we working on an ADL where maybe there's clothing that I would have? Are we doing physical therapy, some work where I use soup cans as a weight? So what kinds of things do I need to have there so we can be set up and ready to go when the session starts? And in setting up your area, remember always, try to remove whatever distractions there are and see if other people can work in other parts of your home, to allow the least amount of distraction and enhance the engagement between the health provider and the child. Think about simple things like, did we eat? Did we have something to drink? Did we go to the bathroom before we started this session, so that those don't become distractions during the time that you may be working with the health professional. And then also another thing to practice with is, before you get into this, is just make sure your equipment is working, right? Make sure that other programs aren't on, that you're in a part of the house where your internet connection will work, where you have telephone reception if you're using the video or you're using the phone. And then at the end of your session, what's a really important thing is to ask questions. Again, the carryover from the session into your lives, into the next session, it's what's going to be beneficial. And so speaking to the therapist, saying, okay, you did these things, the ABA therapist, you worked on these strategies. Now, how do I incorporate that into the things that we're doing? What feedback do I give my child? What activities could I do in the interim that would help support what benefits this session has had? So those are, again, communication and important things to talk about. And then understand what you're going to be doing the next visit, so you'll all be ready for that visit. And I think the other thing is, and I know a lot falls on parents, but I think the other thing is to keep a record of what you've done. Medical home, we talk about a concept called medical home, which is, coordination of all of a child's uh, health interventions. And usually that medical home happens in the pediatrician's office. And so you can ask therapists that are providing, healthcare services to you, or whoever it is, if it's a specialist, whoever it is, to say to them, I want to make sure that my pediatrician is getting a summary of everything that's going on, so that when I have my conversations with that physician, we are having meaningful conversations. When I go to my pediatrician to talk about what are the things that I think my child might benefit from at school, or what are the things that you think he could be struggling with at school that I should think about at my IEP meeting, he has all of the information to help have a more fruitful conversation with you. And in addition to that, you will have all of the information, which is important. You will have a summary of what has happened. And so if someone asks you or you need that information, you can look back at it. And so what I've been talking about right now is really telehealth and the way that things are being given through the healthcare system. But all of the strategies that we've kind of mentioned and talked about right now are things that you can utilize in your related services sessions that you might be being provided through your school. So if your child is getting ABA services or speech and language therapy through school, you can apply these types of strategies to those sessions also. And again, I would stress communication is really, really important at this time, because everyone is trying to figure out the best way to do this. And I would say that the other thing that's really important, piggybacking on what I just said, is that because it is so new, networking is so important, I think, and beneficial for families. People being able to share with other people what worked for them in a session, and being able to say, we just thought up this strategy and it worked really well during this session, or during this week, or during this month with my child, and it really helped my child engage, or it made my child less anxious when we were in the session. And I think that a lot of that can happen if parents network with each other. And that's so hard because we're not on the playgrounds together anymore. We're not sitting in a doctor's office where maybe we talk to someone next to us, or we're just out with people and someone says, oh, and you say, oh, I have that situation too. So we have to make those networking opportunities for each other. And so I'd like to highlight one of the things that we're trying to do at the Federation at Mass Family Voices. We've started a closed Facebook group, and some of you may have been, we had a listserv for years through Yahoo with Mass Family Voices, and Yahoo's changed its platform for a number of reasons. It doesn't work as well. So we've started this closed Facebook group. And it's a place for families to come and to join and to feel safe, to talk about the issues that are going on, and to post and to say, we had a disastrous, um, you know, occupational therapy visit today. My child gets it 3 times a week or whatever, and it did not work at all. And I don't know what to do. And let other parents chime in and help you. And we also have professional partners who are part of this closed Facebook group. I think it's important for them to hear the struggles that families are having and be aware of it so they know where they need to problem solve. But also, they may have strategies and say, well, you know what? We just had a meeting about this at our agency, and these are a couple of ideas that I have for you. So networking is a really, really important thing for families now. So I would encourage any of you, you know, I've listed the link to our Mass Family Voices closed Facebook page. I would encourage all of you to join and start the conversation with each other. There are other organizations that have networking opportunities. You can look to them. I like to always mention one of our organizations that we have close ties with is the Parent Professional Advocacy League, PAL, and you can go to their website, and they do their work in the arena of behavioral and mental health, and there's a lot of resources there for them, for you there. And the Autism Insurance Resource Center is another one that I always like to mention as a resource. In addition to the Federation for Children with Special Needs, they help families who are struggling with more the insurance side of some of this health-related services. But again, think about ways that you can network. Think about ways you can talk to other families and share strategies. And I hope that this was a little bit helpful in setting a context of telehealth for you. And I look forward to seeing some of you or all of you join us on the Mass Family Voices Facebook page. I hope you all have a great day. We'll see you soon.